thank you for tuning in to our first Wednesday Spotlight. I am your host, Tina R. Dawson, and I am the owner of True Blue Designs. And it's truly an honor to be with you live today to showcase one of my clients. Wednesday Spotlight will be held every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Same place, same time. So click the like button, the like button. So thumbs up, like, and share. Tell one, tell all that True Blue Designs is on live. You can also follow us on Instagram at True Blue Designs. I love that intro by Dietrich Haddon because I truly believe it is open door season for all of us. And after since we've made it through this pandemic, I think all of us deserve an open door season. Now, before we get started, I want to give a little information about the company because I really do understand that everybody that's tuned in don't know the behind the scenes on how this got started. So I'm going to tell you the story. In 2008, I had a fraternity brother give me a call. I am a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and the frat brother was a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and we are the only two D9 Greek organizations that are constitutionally bound by a piece of paper. I'll let that sit right there. All right, so he called me and asked me to buy him a silicone bracelet because he had lost his. I went to a local vendor and a local shop and walked in, and all of the other D9 paraphernalia was hanging up and nicely displayed. But the Sigma and Zeta paraphernalia was on the floor in the corner by a chair. I'll say that again. It was on the floor in a corner by a chair. I was livid. So I let the store clerk have it. Now, I still did buy the silicone bracelet because I was there for a purpose. But on the way home, I called another fraternity brother to tell him what had went on, and I was upset. Stopped by his house, and I'm ranting and raving. And I said to him at the end, I said, they're going to piss me off and make me start my own business. So 11 years later, here I am. So on March the 20th, we celebrated 11 years. And I am just so proud. I created True Blue Designs to give Sigmas and Zetas a platform of creative expression. And it has evolved into so much more. So people have been asking me, at first, the name of the company was True Blue Greek Designs. And people were asking me, hey, can you refer me to somebody that does other things besides Nelia? And I kept saying, I can do that. And then I realized the name I chose for my company had boxed me in. So in January 1, 2014, I relaunched the company, changed the name to True Blue Designs, and the company took off. It took off. It soared. So, I learned a great lesson from that. Sorry, I'm reading my notes. So we've been open for 11 years, and now we're focusing on expanding the brand. One key quote that I do have, and I give you permission to use it, is that knowledge is power, but applied knowledge brings transformation. And I'm going to say that again. Knowledge is power, but only applied knowledge brings transformation. So because of this belief, I wanted to present some of my clients to you weekly. And they are filled with lots of knowledge that can aid you in your personal and business transformation. So now let me introduce my special guest. I'm going to do a small bio, and then he'll tell you the rest. I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up. So Reggie Bell of It's Bookkeeping. It's Bookkeeping is a firm that focuses on clients that have up to 50 employees. Many of these businesses are seen as staples in our communities, but many of them also lack the proper knowledge and skill set to ensure their accounting is properly documented. Without further ado, we're gonna bring in Reggie Bell with It's Bookkeeping. Yay! Hey!
Thank you, Tina. Thank you. It's always great to have you. Thanks for having me,
How
Tina. I
are
really
you?
appreciate it. Great,
Oh, I
great.
you saying yes. We made it. We made it.
Yes, yes.
How's the family? Before we go any further, how's the family?
Everyone is doing exceptionally well. Now everybody's just trying to stay warm.
Yeah, yeah, definitely,
Jack
definitely.
Frost has finally shown up on the scene, so everybody is staying warm at this moment.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. So we're gonna jump right in because wow, if when people hear the story of how we got here, this was all based off an incident that happened on Saturday, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and tell the story right quick,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
you tell it, madam.
we'll do it.
Madam Four.
Yeah, yeah. So to let everybody know what happened was I reached out to Reggie to help me with my bookkeeping. That was the main thing. And he had scheduled a 1 hour session with me. And Reggie, how long was the session?
4 hours. Solid 4 hours.
4 hours. I was a mess bookkeeping wise. And I'm getting better. I'm getting better. But again, knowledge is power, but applied knowledge brings transformation, right? So
Yes,
I'm gonna
yes.
apply the knowledge that you gave me on Saturday. So let's talk about how you got started. So give us the background story of how you became a actual accountant and went to school. So give us that
Mhm.
story.
Okay, so of course, I went to school for, actually, I started schooling for computer science
Oh, really?
and started in computer science. Once I got up to about that third calculus, I was like, this is not for me. and and so I was already working in the School of Business as a peer advisor
Oh, okay.
at UAH. And so from there, I decided to take a dive into the accounting realm. And I must say, accounting is one of those subjects, either you like it or you don't.
Yeah.
There's little to no in between when it comes to accounting. And I liked it a lot because I love math, I like numbers. And from there, I got my bachelor's, went and got my master's, jumped headfirst into the industry, and I've had the opportunity to work with many organizations, churches, nonprofits, corporate organizations, and to see them flourish and grow. But my passion and my heart um, are for small businesses because even while I was in undergraduate, I was working with a few small businesses to allow them or to offer them some services on the side, so to speak. And just that alone, just my heart poured out for us small businesses because I see it from the corporate level and then from the small business level. And I will say that it's the small businesses has the highest level of importance when it comes to this field, but it's the usually the corporate side that gets the most, I guess you would
Yeah.
say, notoriety when it comes to it.
Yeah. When I went back to school in when I graduated in 2013, and me and you
I
discussed
remember
this.
that.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna talk about that. But one thing that I learned from that business or the business is working you. Yeah, and
Hmm.
that was a big aha for me. And Saturday's event um, really opened my eyes to, you know, first of all, I don't. It's only by the grace of God that I lasted for 11 years without a bookkeeper because I had been doing it all myself. And
Hmm.
Saturday really opened up my eyes to you can't do it all yourself. There's no way. Something's gonna be lacking, right? Something's
Mm-hmm.
gonna fall by the wayside. And so my bookkeeping had been falling by the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been asking you this one question for the last 3 days, and I think this is important for the viewers to understand. Can you explain to us the difference between a CPA, an accountant, and a bookkeeper?
No problem. So a bookkeeper, I'll start it there. A bookkeeper is your base level of the accounting or the corporate process, so to speak. So you got to have a good bookkeeper or a good bookkeeping skills because that's where all your data is entered into your accounting system, usually by your
Right.
bookkeeper. Your accountant, on the other hand, turns around and they are the ones responsible for maybe doing journal entries, they make corrections, to do your financial reporting, things of that nature. That's where your accountant comes in. The difference between the accountant and the bookkeeper, the main difference
Okay.
is one has a degree, the other may not. Meaning the accountant may have the degree, and usually the bookkeepers have that title based upon trade and experience. And then after that, the top
Okay.
notch
Okay.
are the CPAs. So the CPAs are who sign off on audits, who can represent you in court. They are the registered experts. So if you look at it in something like the medical field, your bookkeeper is like your CNA, your
Okay.
nurse is your RN or your nurse practitioner. It's like your accountant based upon the levels, and then your doctor
Mhm.
is your CPA.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you another little story. How I learned that firsthand. So long time ago when I was married, I had a accountant doing me and my husband's taxes, and we both
Mm-hmm.
had small businesses. And one particular year, I got audited.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got the information I had got audited. I went back to the accountant, and she made me pay for the mistake because she said that when I got audited, that in order to fix the audit, that she had to charge me $75 more to fix the audit. Well, it didn't sit well with me. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody sent me to the CPA that I have now, and
Mm-hmm.
she researched it and come to find out that the accountant made me pay for her mistake because the
Mm-hmm.
CPA was able to go in and find out what the audit was about, and she found out that the accountant had charged me for her mistake. So
Mm-hmm.
I learned firsthand on there's a difference between the accountant and the CPA. Now, let me
Correct.
ask you this
Correct.
question. As a small as a small business owner, do I need a CPA and an accountant/bookkeeper?
As a small owner, I say yes. It gives you the checks and the balances. Your
Right.
accountant, they may do I say have your CPA do your taxes if they prepare taxes, and have your accountant do your bookkeeping and accountant or your bookkeeper. It keeps
Right.
everybody honest for one. I always recommend the two. I don't ever recommend doing both services for any of my clients unless my client and I already have that relationship that I've been
Okay.
doing it for. So I do have clients where I do them both. But I always tell clients I should be able as an accountant to boldly turn over my work to the CPA and can stand by it 100%. The CPA should be able to boldly stand behind whatever tax return they prepared for you and be able to, if there becomes an audit, find what their true mistake is and be forthright about it. That's one of the pledges that they take for that field and for that position. So if I'm a small business, I'm definitely going to have a CPA for one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in having that CPA, remember your CPA is not your bookkeeper. That's where a lot of people get them
Right.
confused. So if you go to your CPA expecting them to put in all your entries for you, they are going to charge you their rate.
Yeah.
Another difference between an accountant and a bookkeeper is I don't
Ooh.
charge. I mean, between an accountant and a CPA is I don't charge as much as a CPA,
Oh,
but
she
they
told.
have that designation and they have that expertise, so they can back up that charge. But if you have them put in your bookkeeping, you can do that. I actually do receive contracted some bookkeeping work from some local CPAs as well. And so
Oh,
that way that they can pass that savings on to their customer. So we also have that relationship. I have relationships with CPAs. One of my partners in the firm is a CPA. The other one is an EA. So we all have that relationship. So we can pass around work, or I'm able to. I don't know everything there is about the field. So if it's
right.
something I'm not sure about that I can't put my hand on directly, I can put my hand on my phone, text one of the partners, and he can tell me either where I need to look or tell me what the answer really is.
Okay. And you mentioned an EA. What is the EA?
An EA is an enrolled agent. I would say your EA, your EA is an enrolled agent with the IRS, and they are able to represent you in the case of like tax court or something like that legally.
Okay. And which designation is able to work with you and the
I'm sorry, Tina, you broke up. To give me that question one more time. I'm sorry.
There's, oh, oh, okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So what designation? I know one time we were talking about um, if you have a CPA, they can A, sign your return, your tax return, and
Hmm.
if something comes up, they can be the in between you and the IRS. Can you go a little bit into that?
Correct. So they're the in between. They kind of like there's a box on your tax return that says I authorize this person to speak on my behalf, that you sign with that tax
Okay.
return. If you check that box, that person whom you authorize is authorized to speak to IRS. It can just be a simple tax preparer to be authorized to speak, but authorized of doing legal business with you must
Uh-huh.
be a registered and current CPA or enrolled agent.
Okay. Okay. So those are the people that can speak to the IRS on your behalf.
Correct.
Okay. So does your firm only deal with small business or businesses up to 50 members, or do you actually deal with, just regular everyday people?
We deal with everyday people. We only say up to 50 for the mere fact that if you've got well over 50 employees, we could give you the services that you need, but based on our pricing schedule, it may not be beneficial for you to do that. It may be actually, you may have a better cost benefit hiring a full time in house bookkeeper to handle that. But we do offer trainings and
Okay.
things of that nature to assist larger businesses with that. Even assist individuals who are thinking about starting a business about the different things they'll need to look for and training them on the software, so on and so forth.
Okay. Your feed is going in a little bit in and out, but we're gonna make
Oh,
it through. Um, so can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Uh, okay. All right. So how has your business been affected with COVID? And then the second question is, can you tell us some of the things that your customers have had to go through, because of COVID? How has it affected some of your customers and their businesses?
Gotcha. As for our business, COVID is what started our business.
Oh,
Um, I
really?
I actually went to an interview. And while I was at the interview, the guy that was interviewing me, who's one of the solid partners, said, "Hey, I think you're overqualified for this position, but I'm looking into starting something here in the city based on what's going on with COVID. Would you like to join?" That's kind of how we got started. So, and that was because a lot of what he
Oh,
was
wow.
saying, a lot of small businesses were applying for loans and applying for grants, but their books were not in line. Their books were not in line to get them approved to get some of these grants and loans that were coming. So,
Wow.
so therefore, a lot of those grants and loans being awarded were disproportionate based upon not only race, but based upon who had their books in order. So because of that, and me being a softie, contrary to popular belief, I was able to go out and start some clients from the
Okay.
jump to help them get some of those loans. Now, what what a lot of my clients have been affected by, it depends on their type of business. Can you hear me? Tina, are you there? Are you there, Tina? You froze up. Okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna go ahead and answer your question.
Business.
What most of my clients have been affected by,
I'm here.
as far as COVID, for the ones who are in the restaurant business, they really had to change their structure or adjust their structure. For those who had food trucks or what have you, that had to be adjusted a little bit. But for the most part, uh, my clients, you just lost sales. Like parts where they would have peak sales, they were not there that year. So they had to find ways to make adjustments. A lot of my small businesses ended up having to get maybe a second job or something along those lines to help make those ends meet where they were missing out.
Yeah. 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 I can definitely understand that. And thank God that they're still working, even if it's at a small pace, they're still working. So that's a blessing.
Correct. Correct.
Um, so let me ask you this. So as an accountant, how do you stay up on laws and IRS regulations?
I'm a nerd. I've subscribed to quite a few accounting journals. Networking. I know a lot of have
Oh,
quite a few friends here who are CPAs, and so they normally, if something I'm reading I can't understand, I pick up the phone and say, "You got a second?" and they can explain it to me. So I have a strong network of accountants. Some of my professors I still speak with, and they have an even stronger network. So that helps a lot as well too. So I try to stay as up to date as I can. I try to get ahead of the market. A lot of the questions that I'm getting now is how is the COVID relief funds affecting the taxes and things of that nature. That's changing every day,
mhm.
so we don't have a quite final answer for that just yet. I'm hoping I can see something in print that we can push out from the company level and share with everybody. But it's very important to have a strong network and to just when you see that information coming out, read it. But not only read it, make sure that you're able to verify that it's legit because there is a lot of false information that's put out often.
Okay. So my next question is this. So if I'm a small business owner and I am looking for a bookkeeper, if I want to go out and interview some bookkeepers, what are some of the things that I should look for? What are some of the things that are must haves, to get me the
Gotcha.
right.
Gotcha. The first thing is determine what their scope is going to be. Meaning, are they just going to come in every month, post a few entries, and be out the door? Or are they going to be fully responsible for posting everything, preparing your sales taxes, payroll taxes, and all that stuff? Are they full control or are they part control? Okay. And remember, the more control you give them, that means the more access you got to give them on the back end. The second thing
Okay.
is, does their pricing match their scope? So am I overcharging you for something that I'm not doing? I don't get into people's fees and things of that nature, but you want to know what their fee schedule is like. Uh, do they have a clientele for references that they can share? One thing I always like for people to ask me, um, what's your communication like? In other words, I know your standard business hours, but if I say I run a restaurant and I don't close till 11, if I send you an email at 11:30 at night, am I gonna get a response before I go back to work, before the restaurant opens the next morning? You know, those type of things are very important, and so you want to really keep that open. Ask them questions that just comes up. How detailed are they in giving you answers to your questions? And what's really important is, do they offer training? Can they train you? Can they assist you to do some of the things on your own to maybe take a little bit off of your bill and going down the road?
Okay. Yeah, because the one thing I liked about Saturdays was that you were saying to me that, there's some things that you can do, and then there's some things you don't have time to do. So
Mm-hmm.
the things that you can do, I'm going to teach you how to do those. And the things that you don't have time to do, I'm going to teach you how to do those, but
Mm-hmm.
I can do those for you. See,
Correct.
and you just cannot, I'll say it again. As a small business owner, you cannot do it all. And I think the one thing that falls short is the money area, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I really believe that the only difference between me and a wealthy person is that the wealthy person has their eye on their money and I don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you ask somebody that's wealthy anything about their assets, their stocks, their bonds, they might not can get it to the T, but they have their eye on their money,
Correct.
right? And I
Correct.
think as a small business owner, as you're trying to work the business, there's a lot that kind of falls by the wayside. And the one thing you do not want to fall by the wayside is your finances, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
the second thing is you don't want to give total control to somebody about your finances,
That's
right?
correct.
And the
That's
way that you do that is to get with someone that's going to give you the training,
mm-hmm.
right? And force you to look at your money,
Correct. Correct.
right?
Uh,
Yeah.
I have a 3-5 rule, which means that when I go in to look at the audit on my clients, I want to see that they've been looking at their numbers at least 3 days a week, because there's an audit trail I can see. So I look for the 3-5 rule, and if I don't see it, they're getting an email from me.
Okay.
Um, one of my one of my clients is Greek, and she tells people that I haze her because I make. She tells people that often. She said he just hazes me. I don't understand why I'm even paying him. I'm seeing like I'm doing the work, but nah. I make her go in and look to see is there anything
Right.
that's crazy, because we need to take care of it now before your statements come out. Um, I was about to say something else and it left me, but yeah, you mentioned that you. Oh yeah, this is what it was. You know what your expertise is.
Mm-hmm.
If your expertise, and I'm gonna go back to those college words, if your expertise is making widgets, you make widgets.
Right.
That's what you do, is you make widgets. You don't focus on, see, the fact that when it's time to do the numbers, that's when you get bored and it doesn't get done.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make widgets and you make somebody whose expertise is doing numbers, and they do numbers, you guys meet in the middle, and that's called your financial reports. And
Okay.
then that
Okay.
determines how many widgets can I make next month.
Right.
So on and
Correct.
so forth.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah. And some people don't want to hold themselves accountable, right? And when you have a good bookkeeper, they force you to not only hold them accountable, but they
Mhm.
force you to hold yourself accountable.
Correct.
See, and that to me is important.
Mhm.
It's very important. You know, it reminded me when you were talking about, I forgot what you how you just put it, but you know how so many times in the news we hear about athletes, right? And the athlete gets a manager, and they do not keep their eye on their money.
Correct.
Right? So what ends up happening?
When something happens, when that contract is over, the money's over. It's no longer there. It's gone. It's spent.
Right. And the money
they don't know who all spent it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, you know, it's if everybody doesn't get anything else, whether it's your personal money or your business money, make a vow to yourself in 2021 that you are going to keep your eye, you're going to put your eye on your money, and then you're going to keep your eye on your money. Even if you hire a CPA, you still need to keep your eye on that money. If you hire a bookkeeper, you need to keep your eye on your money.
Correct.
I think it's very important because, you know, sometimes you don't want, you know, when you're a small business owner, Reggie, your focus is to do that you are good at, right? So if you're a small business owner and you make cakes, then your heart is in making cakes, right? I ain't going there. But anyway, but there's more to you making cakes, right? And then there's more to how long you're able to sustain your home and your business in making cakes, right? And the key to that is keeping your eye on your money.
Correct. You're absolutely right.
Okay, so let me ask you another question right quick. So with dealing with small business owners, what are some of the issues that you have seen? You know, I can tell you what my issue was, but what are some of the issues that you've seen, you know, that within small businesses that you've had to help them with?
The number one issue is just tracking every detailed expense associated with your business. And that's going to determine your true profit and loss. You have to track that. I don't care if you paid it out of your account, out of your business account, whatever. If it's an expense for your business, you track it, you keep your receipt, and you write it down. You keep a track of it. The second major issue I see with business owners is that they just don't want to relinquish that control. And in essence, and as you saw, you only release your control when someone has tokens to actually get into the physical nuances of your accounts. The good thing about bookkeepers, especially, is that we don't have access to your accounts. We have access to the information in your account. And so when I say people don't want to give up control, a lot of people feel that I've been in this a long time, like you said before, and I still feel like I probably should be further along than I am, and I don't want to be judged. Yeah. And so it's only judgment for me when I show you how to do something and you don't do it. Then I judge you and continue to build you. But I'm just saying. But
no. Yeah.
But seriously, it's one of those things that once you have to sit down and, like you said earlier, what am I able to do? What do I like to do? What can I afford to pay someone else to do? You just have to ask yourself those questions and be honest. Be absolutely honest with yourself.
Yeah, when you're talking about, you know, I'll do it and I'll just bill you for it. So the CPA I was telling you about, so after she figured out what had happened with that audit, you know, I decided to start doing business with her, right? And I didn't understand what those three initials meant. So I brought her a box of stuff for her to do my tax. Reggie, when I got that bill, my breath, I was Are
I've
you
seen I
serious?
those videos. Mm-hmm.
I was like, are you serious? And she told me, she said, let me give you a piece of advice. The less I have to do, the less you pay.
That's
The
right.
more I have to do, the more you pay. From
Mm-hmm.
that day until now, she tells all her clients that story about me. Because I told her, I said, my philosophy is, on me. It's on me the first time. But I told
Mm-hmm.
you saw that bill. I ain't gonna tell you how much that bill was. And I told her, you will never get that amount of money out of me again. Never. And she has not.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just stress to you, as a small business owner, it is extremely important for you to have a bookkeeper that can train you on how to insert your receipts and information 3 times a week, as Reggie said. You want to stay up on that, because when it's time for you to do your taxes, it doesn't matter if you go to a CPA or an accountant. The more they have to do, the more they're going to charge you, right? So if you don't want to pay that, make sure you have your balance sheet, your income statement, make sure you have all that together, so that you don't pay a lot of money. Because I'm telling you, she got me one time, Reggie, and she ain't get me no more. None. Done.
I, I've got a few. I've got a few one and dones too, and
Ooh,
I've got a.
man, and we laugh about it every time I go to get every time I see her in February, we laugh about it, because I'm like, oh, that's all I have to pay. Thank you. I'll pay that. You want the check now? So let me ask you this though. So how do you bill for your services? How does that work?
So we have a flat consulting rate that we do, and that's more so for our trainings, that one up call for people who are not on our monthly rate, who have a they might say, hey, you set me up, you're still on my books. I've got a question, so I'm gonna put in a call, so it goes into the consulting, and we bill that
Okay.
by the hour. Now, and then we do what's called volume based billing, which means we bill us a fee per how many transactions we have to associate with. You will be
Okay.
surprised. You may think you have a lot going on, but you really don't have that many transactions. So you fall into the lower end of the billing spectrum. And that's a
Okay.
monthly bill, which means that as long as we're open, if you got a question, you shoot us an email or a phone call, and we do that. And it's full service. We handle the payroll, the taxes, all associated with that. And I
Okay.
always tell people, anybody who's doing any type of services for you, you want to know upfront what their bill is, what your bill is going to be, what it's going to look like. You don't want anything varying. And it's especially when we get into tax
Okay.
season, especially at tax time, you want to know what their set fee is, whether they're billing you by form or whether they tell you they're going to bill you by a percentage or whatever. You got to know that, because if you're expecting something in a return and then you get something different, you want to know why, and why the bill looks as such. So there's no confusion. And then of course we do, before we do any work, we sign. We of course will get it in writing, which I express to all businesses. Make sure you have it in writing. So we
Okay.
have a software where people sign our proposals in electronically. They get a copy. We have a copy. It goes in their file. I'm pretty sure they keep it on their end, and we do our work from there. So we give our customers, all our clients, all of the options. We don't push, we don't force, but we bill hourly, or we do a volume based upon the number of transactions.
Okay. So there's a lot of accounting softwares out there. You've got Peachtree Accounting, you have Quicken, you have QuickBooks, and those are only three that I know. So based on all the accounting softwares that are out there, for a small business owner, what do you suggest? Which one have you seen that's maybe the easiest for the client to understand, or the easiest for a small business owner to actually use?
We are all QuickBooks. Well, I am. I'm a QuickBooks Online Pro. I'm certified in QuickBooks. That is the one that we really hammer on everybody using because it's the most seamless across. It works with so many different financial institutions. It has tons of apps. A lot of people use Square, a lot, especially restaurants and things of that nature. So it ties to Square great. It has a great tie with Square. It keeps up with all of your taxes and as far as payroll and sales taxes and things of that nature. So that's the one we really push is QuickBooks. However, we have knowledge in Peachtree, we have knowledge in Quicken, we have knowledge in Zero, ZipBooks, even most of them on your they're even little accounting softwares on your cell phones. So there's not much that we either don't already know or can't get access to say, oh, okay, well, yeah, it's just a watered down version of whatever. So we find a way to really get it in. And we really try to work with the clients on whatever they're most comfortable with. But we really push, and I say push, we really push QuickBooks because as you probably already know, it is the most transparent of all the software. You don't have to hunt for anything. It's there right on the fingertips.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. When I started the business, I I actually do conferences. So I was trying to find all of the platforms that were you didn't have a monthly fee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just pay per transaction. So I had PayPal, and at first I had Square, but then I went to Go Payment, which
Mm-hmm.
is QuickBooks mobile app.
Mm-hmm.
So went to QuickBooks mobile app. So I had that in PayPal. And tell you this story. So I had a customer come to me, and he wanted to give me an opportunity to help his corporate company do some promotional items, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my first deal with them was a hair under $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now he asked me, he said, "Well, you need to send us an invoice." And I said, "Well, just have her to call me, and I can take the credit card number over the phone." Now, this is a multi-million dollar company. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, he said, "What?" And I said, "Or, we can figure out something else." So he told me, he said, "Okay, Tina, hold on. We go stop the train." He said, "Stop the train." He said, "You can't go to a multi-million dollar company and tell them that. You need to have an electronic way to do invoicing."
Correct.
So he said, three words. You ready for them? Figure it out. And he hung
Mm-hmm.
up the phone. So I said, "Well, let me just call QuickBooks Mobile. Let me just call QuickBooks to see if there's anything I can do as far as invoicing," right? Got the lady on the phone, and lo and behold, I had QuickBooks attached to my website, which was the same merchant account that was attached to the QuickBooks Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
In less than 15 minutes, that lady tied everything together, gave me QuickBooks Online, gave me a tutorial on how to do that invoice
Mm-hmm.
in less than 15 minutes.
Yep.
And that $10,000 job, I got. I sure did. I sure did. But he told me, figure it out. And when I called him back, he told me, he said, you figured it out. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes, you have to get into that little pressure point place, because you're used to doing business as normal. right? And that right there stretched me. And that
Correct.
was a stretch that I am so thankful for, right? But then
Exactly.
I end up meeting you, and well, I already knew you, but I end up talking to you
Mm-hmm.
about my bookkeeping, and come to find out I already had everything in place. I just wasn't using it. I was
Correct.
only using QuickBooks Online to do the invoicing, right? But it does so much more than that.
Oh yeah.
It does so much more than that. So, because of that, I'm gonna have to end my relationship with Quicken. Quicken is kind of mad at me, but I'm gonna have to end my relationship with Quicken. And I told Quicken, look, when 2020 is over, hey, do the Donald Trump. You're fired. You are fired. You are fired. Look, and we're not gonna ask for a recount. You're fired. So I am so excited about where I can go from here,
Correct.
because we're going to go back to what I said earlier. Knowledge is power, but applied knowledge brings transformation, right?
Correct.
Because if you don't use the knowledge that you're given, nothing's going to be transformed,
Exactly.
right? Nothing. Okay, so I got one more question for you because we're almost at the end. So I like that shirt you got on. That's that's really nice. So, can you refer me to your person that did your shirt?
Yeah, it was this. It's this real loud lady. She down in Georgia.
Oh, she's loud.
She loud. She funny though. She funny though. But but she always be trying to make me cook every time I see her. But she has this business called True Blue Designs, and it is off the chains. Like I totally emailed what I wanted, and she sent me back some
Oh,
samples, and I was sold as always. So she's great. The girl do it now. She knows she got this. Her mission. Her ministry right here.
so let this adventure. So let me ask you this one question. Why to you, why was it important for you to brand your small business? Why was it important to you?
It's important because this business is important to me. If it doesn't have a solid, I wouldn't even. I had stopped doing side work for people until I got the branding in line, because you didn't want to get the business going and then people can't find you or they don't know what you look like. So it was very important to get this branding out and get it corrected where it needed to be: professional, simple, concise. When people see the logo, they already know what it is. When you see the golden arches, you know it's McDonald's. Well, when you see this check
That's
in this
correct.
book, you're gonna know it's bookkeeping. That's the way about it. Then we have a play on words. It's booked keeping, which means we've got it booked and we're gonna keep it that way. And we're gonna keep all the hassle that you were having. That's your past. Going forward, we got to make sure that you stay on the straight and narrow in this. That's what we were really concerned about. So we wanted our tagline to have meaning. We wanted our brand to be simple and concise and have meaning, and wanted to make sure we get it on the right on the right stuff. So we got good quality stuff from True Blue Designs, and we're gonna soon put in another order for some more stuff in the spring. So have her to be on the lookout, because yeah, get ready.
What's her website address?
It's booked. Oh, her website. Oh, her website is it's truebluedesigns.com. Blue without the E.
There you go. There you go. You know what, Reggie? Thank you so much for entrusting that to me, because you know that that's where my heart is, right? Because when you're a small business owner, you are so focused on doing the business that you forget about branding yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
You brand, you forget about branding yourself. So you forget
Mm-hmm.
about You need maybe a t-shirt, a polo, depending on what your field is that you're going into. If you're in construction, you need one thing. If you're an accountant, you need something else, right? If you're a
Correct.
coach, football coach, because um, we actually do sports apparel. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so just to let everybody know, it's True Blue Designs. It's up top. The blue
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have an E. So feel free to, I welcome everybody to contact us at 678-953-0355. I think the ticker tape is at the bottom. And we would love to talk to you about your branding needs. One thing that I really love, and I'm glad that I did it, is that I brought my own embroidery machine. Because the one thing, when I started the business, the one thing I was running into is that everybody that wanted to help me wanted large quantities. Right. And my client that there's a small business may only need one. And if there's they don't have 12. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense.
Yes. So I think that, that's one thing that we offer that makes us unique is that, we can help the small business owner and they can only get one or two or three items to start off with,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can grow from there.
Correct.
So I tell everybody, give me a call. I would love to work with you. Love to work with you. And I thank you for entrusting that with me, because I know how you are about your brand. I know what you went through to get that logo, you know,
Yes.
and you have always been a stickler for excellence. That's
Yes.
one thing I know about you. And we gel because I'm that way too. Because if my name is on something, I'm not going to half step, right?
Exactly.
And your name is just like your word is your bond.
Mm-hmm.
Your name is your brand, right?
That's
And
correct.
that can either make you or break you,
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
is there anything else that you want to tell the listening audience, or anything about yourself or about your business? Do a call to action.
Definitely, definitely. I would like for all of us, everyone who's listening, who's even considering a small business or who's already in a small business, if you're using a software, or if you are not sure that you're using it to its fullest potential, or if you feel like you're overworking yourself in your software, where you're not putting the more time into the business that you should, give us a call, shoot us an email, log on to our website and contact us. It's here on the screen. It's bookkeeping.com. Book being being past tense, BOKED, or give us a call, 1-800-769-9431. Our hours are 9 to 5, like most businesses, but if you call us or if you shoot us an email after hours, or if you call us after hours, we'll get back with you ASAP. So let us know how we can be of assistance to you. We do so much because we the small business, like I said, the small business community is close to me here. I've worked in a small business when I was in high school. And so that was really my first job. So it's been close ever since. So definitely, don't go into 2021 carrying the burden of your numbers not being where they're supposed to be, and you miss out on so many opportunities. As Tina said, she could have missed out on a great opportunity had she not been able to really get herself where she needed. All of our businesses are unique. I'm not saying we can all be millionaires, but we can all be a lot better off, to the point where the business is no longer working us if we just give it a shot.
Yeah. Well, I thank you. We're going to have to get together in 2021 to um, build some training, because I set up a lot of small businesses. Believe it or not, I've been doing that for years, and a lot of times people will say, I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm good at baking a cake, right? And I really should go into business. And I think they need a consultant to sit them down to ask certain questions before they even think about going into it, right? Because when you say you're going to go into business, there's a lot that comes with that. And a lot of times people don't know, they don't understand that, right? And I think we should get together and do some training in 2021,
Yes.
for that.
Yeah.
Because, and not only should you go into business, but should you go into that type of business, right? Because a lot of times when you listen to the street committee can steer you wrong, right? Because you know your heart. So I'm going to tell everybody this one thing. In 2021, if you have a desire to go into business in 2021, how you determine what business to go into is one thing: what's in your hand. What's in your hand, not what's in somebody else's hand, but what's in your hand. And then what's in your hand, is that tied to your heart? What's in your hand, and is it tied to your heart? And if you want to talk about that, I just open it up for you to contact me, and we can do a free consultation, and we can discuss that. Free 15 minutes, free consultation, and we can discuss that, because I think that groundwork is what needs to be done.
Correct.
Right? And a lot of times we just jump up, we get an LLC, we get an EIN, we get a bank account, we put $100 in, we get Square, PayPal, Go Payment, and we're off to the races. But there's a lot more that people don't tell you about getting into business.
Correct.
And I had to learn on the fly. I've had to learn, as I went. And if there's some information that I have that I can share with people so that they don't make the same mistakes, and also not only that, share my resources. One word that people that know me, that are close to me, one word that they can use to describe me is resourceful.
Yes, ma'am.
So if somebody calls me and says, Tina, do you know of anybody that can, or can you? I tell them, give me 24 hours. Because if I don't, I can find somebody. And every time I make that 24 hours. Right? Because you're only as strong and powerful as your circle.
That's correct.
Right? And you have an inner and you have an outer circle. Right? So it doesn't matter if it's inner or outer. You just need to be resourceful and have those people. And you and I, we're both very resourceful.
Yes.
So, I just want to offer that to the listeners. Contact me. You got my email, you got my phone number. Call me. Take advantage of that 15-minute free consultation, because I promise you, it ain't going to take long for me to tell you. It ain't going to take long at all. So take advantage of it, and always remember, knowledge is power, but applied knowledge brings transformation. If you want to transform in 2021, apply the knowledge that you're getting tonight and that you will continue to get every Wednesday. Wednesday spotlights are every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Next Wednesday is the 16th, and we already have that person lined up. I am so excited. I hope you all felt that this was beneficial. Reggie, I would like to say thank you to the bottom of my heart for jumping on. You changed your whole schedule to do this, and I really, really appreciate it. I really do. I really do.
Your invoice in the email. Don't worry about it. I'm just joking.
Now, you told me to promise I didn't mention that C word, and I did. I did good. So you can't charge me.
You're right. You're right.
Thank you so much to everybody that tuned in to the inaugural Wednesday Spotlight. I am your host, Tina Renee Dawson of True Blue Designs, and we are going to sign off for the evening. We're going to go out partying to Dietrich Haddon, and thank you so much. I will see you next Wednesday. Follow us on Instagram. We love you. We love you. Thank you.